Hi class, Dr. Doug Brown here. Welcome to Summer 2 Ethical Theory. I'm excited to have an opportunity to work with each of you. A few of you I have worked with you before, and I'm excited to have you back. Some of you have not. You've not had me before, and this will be your first opportunity. So let me just share a little bit about the class, what we do, and sort of the structure. Please take time to look at all the announcements that I've shared, particularly with the post examples, APA paper examples. That's how I'd like for you to share your post and your paper. A little bit of a stickler for APA, but don't worry if you've not dealt with it in a while. It's your first time or something to that effect. I'll work with you, and my goal is to help you, to mentor you, not just to ding you on points. So we'll get there. Don't be stressing on me. But I do ask that you look at those announcements, look at the syllabus, look at the instructions, and all those different pieces on getting started, so that you are prepared. Now, if you work in law enforcement, fire service, ethical theory, some of the terminology that you're going to hear, some of the things we're going to talk about may be a little, left field, or it may be, just crazy stuff to you. And I get that. The first time that I ever took a ethics class, philosophy class, it was challenging for me, because we sometimes get really in depth into the things that those different concepts, into ethical theory, into philosophy, which a lot of what we do with, in this class, ethical theory is based upon not just the, historical, the old time philosophers, if you will, but certainly the modernists, those contemporary theorists that we have, and you'll see some of the names there. We'll talk about Kant and Descartes and some of those others that maybe you've heard about before or not, and they really it really gets some depth sometimes. So we'll try to keep it. We'll try to keep it between the lines, if you will, between the ditches, and really take what we know in public safety or whatever your world is, wherever you work at, and sort of bring it back to the middle of the line and make it applicable to what we do. So don't stress if it all sort of doesn't make sense to you. We'll work together and get there. I'll try to help you with not only the academic terms, but to keep it, to where we are, to help you have a better understanding of what ethical theory is and how it works. Now, for example, this week, some of the things we're going to learn is there's two extreme approaches: ethical relativism and ethical absolutism. And for example, and there's really three. We'll also talk about pluralism. So when we take a look at this week, ethical relativism, that's a theory that basically holds that all morality is relative to our culture. It's based upon our culture. So your morality may be different from mine. I live in the South. Most of you live in the North. Some of you live, other places. But our morality, what we do, is based upon one's culture. And so I guess there's probably some pretty good support for that. But then when we take a look at another theory, which is moral absolutism, that asserts that there's just universal moral principles, that it doesn't really matter about culture. It's really based upon actions can be judged universally. We all sort of, no matter where you come from in the United States or any other part of the world, there's this baseline, if you will, almost like a blood pressure, this baseline that we all have that's all connected, no matter what society is like and what what culture, which culture we grew up in. So essentially, that would say that if I'm in Brazil, stealing or theft is still theft, and that we have this principle, this absolutism, no matter where we are, that says theft is theft, and we shouldn't do it. And the same thing would be here. You don't steal, you don't cheat, those lie, those sort of things. All that's everywhere in the world, no matter which continent you're on, and that's where moral absolutism is supported. And again, lots of different theories. Now we take a look at a third principle, which is ethical pluralism, and that sort of gives us that's a little different view than absolutism. Excuse me. That pluralism is really this theory where there's many theories about right and wrong, and some may be compatible, some may be incompatible, etc. It may work for you there, it may be different here for me. So that's where ethical pluralism kicks in. So what do you think? I mean, share your thoughts about that as to which one of the theories you think is applicable in our assignment this week. Just lay that out and just share it with me. Use some links, share some examples. We'll talk a little bit about in our case study this week. We'll talk a little bit about this dilemma that's noted here as we look at these three ethical theories, concept. Okay. So now, if I've confused you, let's move on. So our discussion this week, as I said, we have really three assignments this week. A couple of discussions. In our first discussion, so what we'll do is we'll talk a little bit about our three different concepts. I'd like for you to take a look at a news article or advertisement that you think demonstrates an example of moral relativism or moral absolutism, and of course include a good description of that. Make sure you read each one of these. In our first week, a little bit of leniency there. Please check your spelling. Please support that with APA. Follow that example that I gave you there in the announcements. If you haven't got your book yet, it's okay to use those outside resources. That's absolutely fine with me. As long as you cite it following APA, I'm okay with it. Now, I don't want you to use Wikipedia. We can't use Mother Jones, Mother Earth News. You can't. I don't want you using Fox News or CNN, any of those things. Dictionaries, avoid all that stuff. Encyclopedias, unless it's peer reviewed. I don't want you to use any of that. Please just use the library or search for those news articles this week. If it says news articles, it's fine. But otherwise, in your papers, etc., I don't want you using any of those sources. They've got to be peer-reviewed as much as possible. So just pay attention to that and pay close attention to the announcements if you don't mind. Okay, a lot of rambling this week. Please read the assignments. Look over the announcements. I'll see you in the introductions if you've not done that. Acknowledge that you've read the syllabus, if you don't mind. And we'll spend a lot of time talking about the different concepts, some of the terminology, the recognition of the difference between moral, non-moral, amoral, immoral acts, and that sort of thing. So it ought to be a good week. I'll see you in discussions. I'll check back in this week. It's 4th of July week. I'll check back in this week and make sure that I post another announcement, either a video or a short announcement, a short overview. So I'm excited to have you in the class. Ethics is fun. We'll talk about ethical theory. You'll see those examples. You can share your own examples of the things that you're challenged with in your own line of work. Again, for those of you that are in public safety, we're challenged all the time. I mean, it's, going in a patient's house and seeing a Rolex or telling a lie to somebody. I mean, there's just so many different things that we can be challenged with, and we'll talk about those things, and we'll just get some of the concepts out of the way, and you'll learn them, and I think you'll enjoy ethics and philosophy. It's really been fun for me. It's sort of a hobby for me. I like reading about it. I like to study different ethical theories and really posit on some of those things, because I think it really makes who we are. It makes us better. So see you in the discussions. I hope you enjoy the class, and if you have any questions, please just let me know.